and welcome to Mouse in the Mitten Trivia Pod, a podcast where you can test your Disney trivia knowledge over a variety of topics. My name's Court and I will be your host. Our game will consist of 5 rounds of 6 questions covering everything from your basic Disney knowledge to some unknown facts. Each question is worth 1 point unless otherwise noted. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Mouse in the Mitten. And if you're watching us over on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and in the comments down below, let us know what your score is. Now, if you are thinking about a Disney vacation sometime in the near future, I would love to help plan it for you. All you have to do is reach out to me at mouseinthemitten@gmail.com. We can get the process started, and as always, my services are complimentary. So there are a lot of anniversaries this week that we are going to celebrate, and we're going to start out round 1 with one of the bigger anniversaries, and that is the anniversary of Pixar. So all of round 1 has to do with Pixar, with the production company and everything that they've done with the animation space in the last several years. So let's get started here with question number 1. Pixar started in 1979 as part of Lucasfilms. Within 2, when did Steve Jobs become a majority shareholder and become its own entity? Question number 2. As of 2024, how many full-length feature films has Pixar released? Question number 3. What actor has had at least one line in every Pixar movie released thus far? Question number 4. Name the number and letter combination that is seen in every Pixar movie and is a nod to the room at Cal Arts. Question number 5. Name both of the current Pixar franchises that are slated to have a new film released in their series in the coming years. And question number 6. Released in 1988, name the short film that was the inspiration for Toy Story. Alright, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with those answers, and then I will return. Let's get some answers here on Pixar. So question number 1. Pixar started in 1979 as part of Lucasfilms. Within 2, when did Steve Jobs become a majority shareholder and become its own entity? That would be February 3rd, 1986. So in order to get the point there, what I had to say between 1984 and 1988. Now, obviously, things have changed a lot since then, but that was when Steve Jobs decided, hey, we're going to take this over, and that's why when Disney was negotiating whether or not to re-partner up with Pixar, that's why the negotiations were with Steve Jobs, because at the time he was the CEO of Apple and Pixar was part of Apple. Question number 2. As of 2024, how many full-length feature films has Pixar released? They've released 28 total films thus far. Now, obviously, they've come out with a lot of shorts as well. Matter of fact, they started out making just shorts, but they've come out with 28 total feature animations. Now, the next quest for you is to name all of them. Don't necessarily have to be in order, but to name all of them. Question number 3. What actor has at least one line in every Pixar movie released thus far? Well, that would be John Ratzenberger. Now, sometimes he is more prominent. He is the voice of Ham. He's also the voice of Mac, and he is the waiter in Ratatouille. But sometimes he also only has like a line or two, like he does in Inside Out, both 1 and 2. So once in a while, it's just a quick little blurb. Sometimes it's a full-on role. Either way, it's fun to see him in those roles. Question number 4. Name the number and letter combination that is seen in every Pixar movie and is a nod to the room at Cal Arts. Well, that would be A113. That is a combination you see everywhere, primarily started out in Toy Story as Andy's mom's license plate on her van, but in every single movie it is seen somewhere throughout the movie. Question number 5. Name both of the current Pixar franchises that are slated to have a new film released in their series in the coming years. That would be Toy Story and The Incredibles. Toy Story 5 is slated to come out in a couple years. Apparently, they're going to do something with, virtual reality and AI and computer games versus like actual toys like we are familiar with in Toy Story. And then Incredibles 3 is just going to continue the what's going on with the Parr family and continuing their story. Last but not least, question number 6. Released in 1988, name the short film that was the inspiration for Toy Story. That would be Tin Toy, in which there was it was a small toy. It was keeping a baby occupied. The baby was laughing, everything else like that. And that was the inspiration and kind of the catalyst to Pixar trying to come out with a full-length movie. And toys, you can pick out a lot of toys where there aren't a lot of moving parts, hence the reason why they went with toys for their first full-length feature. But again, Pixar has done a lot of things, not just for Disney, but in the animation spectrum as a whole. So I'm excited to see what the future holds with that company. Continuing on now into round number 2. Round number 2 is our Fast Facts. This round is filled with simple questions that have simple answers. Today's category is Disneyland foods. The way this round is going to work is I'm going to give you the name of a place to eat in Disneyland. You just have to say if that is in the Disneyland Park, California Adventure, or at the Disneyland Hotel. So let's get started with question number 1. Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo. Question number 2. Flo's V8 Cafe. Question number 3. Troubadour Tavern. Question number 4. Goofy's Kitchen. Question number 5. Maurice's Treats. And question number 6. Mendacion's Terrace. All right, I hope you're hungry because now after saying some of these, I'm kind of hungry too. So let's get started here with question number 1. Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo, that is in Disneyland. Of course, that is back in Galaxy's Edge. So hopefully that was a little bit of a clue. The Docking Bay 7, it's where you can find some really good food and some good coffee in the morning as well. Question number 2. Flo's V8 Cafe, that one is in California Adventure. Of course, that is in Cars Land, one of the newer parts of that park. So hopefully that was a clue. If you are familiar with the Cars franchise, hopefully that was a clue to where it was. Hopefully you're able to piece that together. Question number 3. Troubadour Tavern, that is in Disneyland. That is in specifically Fantasyland, which reminds me, just based on the 2 Magic Kingdoms out there, Fantasyland is a very large area. Question number 4. Goofy's Kitchen, that is the Disneyland Hotel. In Disneyland at the hotel, you have Goofy's Kitchen. In the Contemporary down in Disney World, you have Chef Mickey's. So those 2 kind of parallel each other. Question number 5. Maurice's Treats, that is Disneyland, specifically in Fantasyland as well. Some good little quick trips there, get some candy, that sort of stuff, just to kind of give you that sugar rush back that you need to finish out the day. Last but not least, question number 6. Mendocino Terrace, that is California Adventure, and that is specifically in the Performance Corridor. Now, again, a really cool restaurant. Seems cool. I've never eaten there. Seems cool. Seems like the food is decent, but definitely a lot of great options down in Disneyland. These are just a few of the great options. And if you need some help navigating that, simply let me know. We can go from there. Continuing on now into round number 3. Round number 3 is our connecting the circles. The way this round will work is I'm going to ask you 5 questions that may or may not be Disney related, but the answers do relate somehow through Disney. That's going to be your 6th and final question, is what is that Disney connection? So let's get started here with question number 1. Name the writer who is known for his creation of the Dick Van Dyke Show, but is also known for playing the character Saul Bloom in the Ocean's movies. Question number 2. Name the actor who is known as the voice behind Skeletor in He-Man, Mighty Mouse, and his role in Westworld as Chief Supervisor. He also shares a last name with well-known scientists who had a movie made about him recently. Question number 3. Name the actress who had a variety show from 1967 to 1978, who also played Miss Hannigan in the 1982 version of Annie. Question number 4. Just a few weeks shy of turning 100, what actress known for her roles in The Golden Girls and The Proposal passed away in late 2021? Question number 5. Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, The Producers, History of the World Part 1, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, and Elephant Man are all movies produced or written by what legendary Hollywood comedian? And question number 6 is, what is that connection? I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, see if you can come up with those connections, and then I will return. All right, let's see if we can connect those circles. So question number 1. Name the writer who is known for his creation of the Dick Van Dyke Show, but is also known for playing the character Saul Bloom in the Ocean's movies. That is Carl Reiner. He is a fantastic and talented actor and writer. Definitely was better known for his writing than his acting, but definitely has done a great job in the acting spectrum as well. Question number 2. Name the actor who is known as the voice behind Skeletor and He-Man, Mighty Mouse, and his role in Westworld as Chief Supervisor. He also shares a last name with a well-known scientist who had a movie made about him recently. Well, that is Alan Oppenheimer. He has had a lot of roles, mainly voice acting roles. He's had a ton of really key voice acting roles. He's reprised a bunch of them, but definitely is someone that you have probably heard, but maybe have never seen before. Question number 3. Name the actress who had a variety show from 1967 to 1978, who also played Miss Hannigan in the 1982 version of Annie. Well, that would be Carol Burnett. Definitely a legendary name, definitely a legendary person as well. My mom talks at length how much she loved the Carol Burnett show growing up and how funny it was that when it was on at the time, and the legendary characters that Carol Burnett played throughout there that seeped into pop culture is also phenomenal as well. Question number 4. Just a few weeks shy of turning 100, what actress known for her roles in Golden Girls and The Proposal passed away in late 2021? That would be Betty White, obviously known primarily in The Golden Girls, but also was a very funny actress in The Proposal, and overall just a hilarious comedian that was just so much fun to watch and so full of energy. Question number 5. Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, The Producers, History of the World Part 1, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, and Elephant Man are all movies produced or written by what legendary Hollywood comedian? Well, that would be Mel Brooks. And of course, some legendary movies here. Some movies that you can watch them 100 times and they'll still be just as hilarious, very quotable, and just a ton of fun. Definitely meant for more older crowds, but definitely a ton of fun. Last but not least, question number 6 is, what is the connection? Well, we had answers such as Carl Reiner, Alan Oppenheimer, Carol Burnett, Betty White, and Mel Brooks. The connection there? Those are all the voices of the characters that you find in the closet for Toy Story 4. So if it's been a while since you've seen Toy Story 4, if you recall, all the toys get brought out to be played with by Bonnie, but Woody gets left behind in the closet. And there's all these toys that are like, oh, do you remember playing Hat Shop and da-da-da-da-da? And all these actors voice different characters. Carl Reiner voices Carl Rhinoceros. Alan Oppenheimer is the voice of Old Timer. That's the little clock. Carol Burnett voices Cheryl Burnett, that's the green chair that's in the closet there. Betty White voices Biddy White. And then Mel Brooks voices Melephant Brooks, who is that little blue elephant in there as well. It was one of those things where I was watching it for the 10 millionth time with my daughter, and I went, hold on, that sounds like Mel Brooks. I looked it up. Sure enough, he wasn't the only well-known actor in this. And again, kind of going back to what I said earlier about my mom, I'm like, hey, just watch this scene again and really listen. She's like, that's Carol Burnett. I'm like, that is Carol Burnett. So it was just fun. It was just, again, one of those things that Pixar, you can watch a movie 100 times and there's still things to take away from it and learn. Continuing on now into round number 4. Round number 4 is typically reserved for movie anniversaries, and we're going to have a movie anniversary in round 4 and round 5. Round 4 will be dedicated to Pinocchio, a classic Disney story that there are just some things in that movie that have certainly not aged very well, but it's still a good story and definitely a good thing to keep in mind as we continue to get older. So let's get started here with question number 1. What number movie is Pinocchio on the list of Disney animated movies? Question number 2. What insect is supposed to stay with Pinocchio and help him make the right decisions throughout the movie? Question number 3. While he is walking to school, name either the 2 characters that led Pinocchio astray that led to the events in the movie. Question number 4. Name the song from Pinocchio that is snuck into the nighttime spectacular Happily Ever After. It's the same song that is heard in the 2015 Marvel movie. Question number 5. Evelyn Venable was the voice and model for the Blue Fairy. What well-known logo can you see Venable in as well? And question number 6. While at Pleasure Island, what animal is the shape of the chair that Pinocchio sits in during the pool scene? All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with those answers, and then I will return. All right, let's get you some answers here on Pinocchio. So question number 1. What number movie is Pinocchio on the list of Disney animated movies? Well, it is number 2. It was the second feature film released by Disney Animation. And again, definitely revolutionary for the time. That's one of the things that, like, if I could go back in history, I would love to see like people's reactions to this when it first came out because of how revolutionary it was. Now, Snow White was a precursor, but I would have loved to have seen the reaction still to this one. Question number 2. What insect is supposed to stay with Pinocchio and help him make the right decisions throughout the movie? Well, that is Jiminy Cricket. If you had just said cricket, give yourself the point there. And this is the point in the show talking about Pinocchio where I inform you that the book is completely different from the movie. And the book is a lot more terrifying. And Jiminy Cricket is one of the reasons why it is a lot more terrifying. It's a lot scarier. Definitely, this is an example of Disney getting their hands on it and making it a much more family and kid-friendly story than the original book was. Question number 3. While he is walking to school, name either the 2 characters that lead Pinocchio astray that leads to the events in the movie. Well, that would be either Honest John or Gideon the cat. Now, Honest John was a fox. Gideon was obviously a cat. Gideon didn't say anything, but definitely they were the 2 that convinced Pinocchio on his way to school that, hey, follow us. Let's go. Let's do this. And then obviously all the things that happened after that. Question number 4. Name the song from Pinocchio that is snuck into the nighttime spectacular Happily Ever After. It is the same song heard in the 2015 Marvel movie. Well, that is I've Got No Strings. If you've ever seen Happily Ever After, there's a part in there where you hear the dun 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 dun. that gets snuck in there. It's not a prominent song that you hear in the show, but it is snuck in there as well. And then that's also part of Age of Ultron, in which Ultron comes out and sings like that he has no strings, that he's not really a puppet master like he was supposed to be. Question number 5. Evelyn Venables was the voice and model for the Blue Fairy. What well-known logo can you see Venables in as well? Well, that is the Columbia Pictures logo. If you are not familiar with the Columbia Pictures logo, it is of a almost what looks like Statue of Liberty, where she's holding a book, she's holding the torch, everything else like that. That is Venables. That is her in there. She ends up obviously voicing and being the model for the Blue Fairy for Pinocchio as well. Last but not least, question number 6. While at Pleasure Island, what animal is the shape of the chair that Pinocchio sits in during the pool scene? It is in the shape of a donkey. Again, a little bit of a precursor as to what's about to happen next. Is the fact that the chair is shaped like a donkey. There's a bunch of other precursors that kind of lead you to this is not going to be a good thing, and donkeys are going to be prevalent. That is one of them, and that you see at that part of the movie. But again, this movie is an oldie. This movie has some stuff that aged like sour wine, but definitely is still a classic Disney film. Continuing on now into round number 5. Round number 5 is going to be dedicated to another Disney movie anniversary, and that is Peter Pan, a classic Disney film. Definitely one of the inspirations for one of my favorite rides in the parks. So definitely a fun one to talk about as well. So let's get started here with question number 1. Peter Pan was released on February 5th, 1953. Within 3, what year did the play debut that the movie was based on? Question number 2. What event led to Disney waiting to make Peter Pan because the contract Disney made with the US government to produce training films? Question number 3. What is the name of the dog in Peter Pan? Question number 4. Name the character in Peter Pan that is captured by Captain Hook and Mr. Smee that lives in Neverland and Peter rescues to return to the chief. Question number 5. What company did Disney purchase the original film rights from for Peter Pan in 1938? And question number 6. In the stage show, there are 2 roles that are played by the same actor. That held true for Peter Pan when Hans Conried played what 2 roles? All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, and then I will return to wrap up today's game. All right, let's get some answers here on Peter Pan. So question number 1. Peter Pan was released on February 5th, 1953. Within 3, what year did the play debut that the movie was based on? Well, it debuted in 1904. So in order to get the point there, would have to say between 1901 and 1907. So definitely in terms of some of the in terms of some of the books and plays that inspired some of those early Disney movies, this one is one of the newer ones, but definitely one that's been around for a long time. Question number 2. What event led to Disney waiting to make Peter Pan because of the contract Disney made with the US government to produce training films? Well, that would be the attack on Pearl Harbor. And if you had said World War II, same thing, give yourself the point there. Either way, it was the US entering into World War II. Disney had made a contract with the US government to produce films for the government, so they had to kind of shelve Peter Pan, hence the reason why it took a little while after the war for that movie to come out. Question number 3. What is the name of the dog in Peter Pan? Well, that is Nana, which my wife and I talk about this all the time. What an unfortunate name for a dog. Nana. There are some really good names out there for dogs. Ours is Milo. Nana is just an interesting choice of a name for a dog. That would not have been my first choice. Question number 4. Name the character in Peter Pan that is captured by Captain Hook and Mr. Smee that lives in Neverland and Peter rescues to return to the chief. Well, that is Tiger Lily. And kind of it seems like Peter Pan falls in love with her a little bit while also falling in love with Wendy. And that's kind of where Tinkerbell gets her jealousy, is he's jealous of the relationship between Wendy and Peter Pan. And that's when we see some of the events unfold as well. Question number 5. What company did Disney purchase the original film rights from for Peter Pan in 1938? Well, that would be Paramount Pictures. Originally, Paramount Pictures had the rights to Peter Pan. They had bought them in 1933, something along those lines. And eventually Disney wanted to purchase it. But again, a few years